And definitely we do give thanks once again. Of course, you know, you're definitely into what is known as the shock of the hour. And the shock of the hour is definitely a grievous thing. Honorable Priest Isaac here with you. Remember, this is the Mystic Vibration. You're definitely in tune to Radio Anu. RadioAnu.com. This is the international flavor, the universal spice. And as I said, this evening we will be going into the whole aspect of the blacks, the original man, civilizing the Orient world, you know, bringing civilization to what is known as China and Japan. And we're going to deal with this obviously on a historic level. We're going to deal with it on a scholastic level, obviously, with the information that is definitely, you know, pertinent to the subject. Now, this is basically a two-part. Of course, you know, previous evening we had the first part when we were directly speaking of Olmec, Moors, and Aborigines, and the American Red Indian. And of course, I think we, you know, did um, uh, we took the time, let me say, to break down the whole importance of the Olmec civilization in this part of the world. And again, this is something that was done already. You know, it's always good to recap quickly, but I'm not going to spend forever on that. And for sure, those of you who have taken the time and the interest to subscribe to the Mystic Vibration program, you've obviously received this program in your inbox already. And, you know, already you're in a position to study it for yourself. But let's just be factual. There are people who have tuned in tonight that were not listening last night. Some of them already contacted me and tell me, what? I didn't know that was the subject I'll be listening tonight. I hope you can say something about what you said last night. So we're just going to run over a few points, but of course we can't stick on that. But as we all know for sure, the Olmec people, the Shy people, XI, Shy. And what we were really showing you is that relationship with us as the original people, what people refer to as black people, and the entire globe. That's why we started with the unification or the oneness, the unity of the landmass, I should say, the unity of the landmass in the time of Pangaea, and to show that our history as melanated beings, as what is known as Ethiopians according to the science, anthropology, and even paleontology, being the melanated man with the ninth ether kinky hair. We as this original Ethiopian, this original ebonite man, we definitely, our history is spanning at least in the hundreds of thousands. Now we can go into the millions as well, as far as us as a people on the planet. So even when the landmass was not as divided as it is now, we still rule the landmass in harmony. And you still have evidence of that. Anywhere you go on the planet, you know, you can still find evidence of our presence that has been there even before the people that inhabit that landmass now. So you have evidence of the ancient African man in Europe before the European. You have evidence of the ancient African man in the Orient before the Chinese and the Japanese. You still have evidence of us in the Western world before the so-called Red Indians. And of course, you know, the argument has been there for years when people argue that we are the original Native Americans. And I think yesterday we covered that properly. Um, well, as I said, if you subscribe, for those of you who are listening tonight, if you subscribe tonight uh, for the Mystic Vibration monthly package, I would promise you that I would give you the program from previous night so you could couple it with this program, because you know your subscription really begins. Um, you get your program when you apply for your subscription, really, when you literally subscribe, you know. So if you subscribe tonight or after this program, I will send you both copies. You know, in fact, after the program, if you are going to subscribe and you are to email me tonight and say, well, brother, I'm going to subscribe, how do you subscribe? You know, and I'll tell you what to do. Even before you do what I tell you to do, I will send you tonight's program and previous night's program, so you have both copies, so you could comprehend exactly what we went into properly, because this is just a run over, and it would not really do justice with just a run over, because I personally think the situation with the Olmec in the Western world is very mystic. This is why we took the time to go into the history of when the Moors went into Spain. And that's why I showed you this whole aspect of trying to construe history, when some historians are trying to show us that it wasn't really the Moors as what we call Moors, but the Berbers, pale Arabs. And that is why I had to speak about the documentary that our good brother, our elder brother, Henry Louis Gates Jr. did, when he was showing Berbers as the Moors, coupled with some Muslim warriors entering into Spain on the 29th of April 711. I said, no, that's not how the story went. I mean, I've heard of that version, but I didn't expect it to come from the good brother, really, you know. The Moors that invaded, man, we have pictures and statues of them. The ancient Moors, when he talks about the Moors of the Renaissance, when you see the pictures on the wall, all you're seeing is some black people. When I say black, I mean the color black. Some black people from St. Maurice, and you can go on and on and on and on and on. You understand? But yet still now, again, the presence of the same Olmecs in this part of the planet, you know, is way before that, you know. The Olmec calendar, we're talking about at least 3,000 years BCE, where the calendar that just came to an end in 2012 on the 21st day of December started on the 13th of August 3114, the Olmec calendar. You know, we highlighted also that is why when you see the figure on the Olmec calendar with his tongue sticking out, that's Bess. And that's why you could go anywhere in Europe and you can see the figures of Bess. Any figure you see with his tongue sticking out, it is really you know, the god Bess, maybe in another form, an Italian version, a Greek version, you know, an Aboriginal version. But the god Bess, the same Hutu and Twa people with his tongue sticking out, as I said, right here in Antigua, for those who will be coming to Antigua on the 21st day of December for the winter solstice double hike that we will be doing to the Stonehenge of the Caribbean, Mount Anu, also known as Greencastle Hill. You will see the Olmec figure that I've shown you even on YouTube. This Olmec figure specifically, you see him there, as I said, even with his tongue sticking out in the very, very same way. So the importance now is all, you know, very key. When we observe this, you know, the Olmec figure right here on Greencastle Hill, he actually has his mouth open, wide, similar to when you're doing the what you refer to as the opening of the mouth ceremony. Oh yeah, when you come, you will see for yourself. So there's evidence, again, there's evidence here, there's evidence there, there's evidence up there and down there of our presence and us civilizing. But again, you see what is mystic within the whole aspect of the Olmec people. Some connect them to the same rubber people, the Dogon people, and you cannot run from the fact that even the Olmec calendar, having 4 calendars, it is said that one of them is similar to that of the calendar of the Kemetic people, the Egyptian people. So that oneness, that global oneness, is one of the main points that I really wanted to touch upon. Plus as well, again, there's a unique situation with the Olmec people. Why? You know, we speak about other races, as they're called, not a term that I really use, but for discussion's sake, you know, the filtrating or mutating out of the original man, and these are just scientific terms. But with the Olmec, what you find with the modern day American Indians is a lot of mixing and inbreeding. Nothing wrong in the sense of, I mean, that's just natural to happen. You got to comprehend that we're looking at, when you study the Indians, for example, you hear a lot of people say, we are the original American Indians. Now that may be true, but you got to be careful with the language, because neither you nor the people that they call Indians are Indians as such. We got to be so careful with the language. Plus, at the same time, we know when you say an American Indian, you know that the image that you get, whether they be dark, some of them are really dark, but you get a specific image. Now, this American Indian that you're speaking of, you have different type of tribes. You have what they call the yellow tribes. As I said yesterday, people that are like the Pueblo and the Manso. These are yellow tribes. You have tribes that come directly from the original Moors or the original Olmec people. I mean, tribes like the Washita, the Yamasee. That's why you find them along the river in Georgia. You see the mounds. You see them closer to that direct culture from which they're directly coming from. You have different mixture. You have the ancient people from the east actually mixing with the Olmecs from the west. You got to keep in mind, history already shows that they have dignitaries from the Shang Dynasty in the 4th century that came to the west looking for the original black Chinese. And when you study your history well, and even when you speak to some of the ancient Indians and some of the Indian chiefs, they will give you the stories of lords coming from the east and mixing with the lords here in the west. So it's a deep, deep science where you have different tribes coming out from the Hopi, the Inuits, Eskimos, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Toltecs, the Mixtecs. They're not all exactly the same. Even as I say, in complexion, some of them are different. Some of them have the straight hair. And this is why even when you go as far as places in the east, Cambodia, Indonesia, some of these islands, the Philippines, and so you will see dark people with with that oriental look, maybe the slanted eyes, which again, as we said yesterday, still comes from us in the southern African region, like how you see Nelson Mandela eyes, how they look. It still comes from us. But you see people that, have that Japanese look with dark skin and with afros. Now, you can meditate on that, because keep in mind, the people that they call the untouchables in India are extremely dark people, darker than some of us, black like maybe the blackboard. Remember I told you yesterday, I've seen black people. Some people say, oh, we're not black. We're not black. Well, you may not be black. Even me, people say I'm very dark, but in all honesty, this is a dark brown. But I've seen black people. I mean, the color. If you've never seen them, that's up to you, but I know I've seen them. And I've seen at least 3 white people in my life. So, and the fact that I say 3 shows what I'm speaking of. I mean, the color. As I said last night, I don't know if they were sick or not, but I've seen them, So even the black Indians in Sri Lanka and southern India, although with a straight type of hair, it is obvious that there's a link and connection there, but there's still a difference. And again, you have Indians, extremely dark, and they have that Afro type hair as well, like the people you find in parts of Indonesia and even the Philippines. And that is why even previous program, again, we showed that you could run a thin thread through all these people of the East, from India, the Arabs, the Afghanistan and Pakistan, which is still India really, and Tibet and Nepal and China and Korea and Japan and the Philippines, and all of these people, although they're different, yet they still have a similar look, because they're coming off of one tree, one branch spread out. And this is what we're talking about even in the case with the Olmec in the West. So we gotta just use common sense as our science. So the Olmec in the West, the facial features is the same facial features that you see on the temples, on the faces in Angkor Wat, Cambodia, Angkor Thom, not Uncle Tom, Angkor Thom in Cambodia. So it's the same people. They use the same type of language, the she, the shy. And how mystic it is. This is how I know, specifically that the information is key. Someone contacted me and brought my attention to a specific documentary, which I will be highlighting now. And I must say, a lot of what we even said previous night, the brother in this documentary is speaking of. And what and how good it is that I'm going to actually utilize this documentary now to advance the reasoning that I wanted to go into tonight, as it delves into how we now civilize the Oriental world. This is very, very important. So I want you to take a moment with me and give a little listen to this. This is the mystic vibration. Of course, this is the shock of the hour. Honorable Priest Isaac here with you on a wonderful Monday, Tuesday evening specifically. Yesterday was Monday. That's when we did part one. And of course, as I said, now we're going to go into this documentary here, directly highlighting some of what I wished to highlight tonight. And I think this information would make it a bit easier, and at least, it will go down maybe a bit better with you. Yeah, keep it locked.
Maybe wondering, were there even blacks in China? And the answer to that is yes. Okay. There were indeed blacks in ancient China. The skeletal remains from southern China are predominantly Negroid. The people practice single burials, which is an African ritual. In northern China, the blacks founded many civilizations. The three major empires of China was the Jia Dynasty, the Shang Dynasty, and the Zhao Dynasty. The Zhao Dynasty was the first dynasty founded by the Mongoloid people in China, called the Hua. The founders of the Jia and the Shang came from the fertile African crescent by way of Iran. Chinese civilization began along the Yellow River. Here the soil was fertile, and black Chinese farmers grew millet 4,000 years ago, and later soybeans. They also raised pig and cattle. By 3500 BC, the blacks in China were raising silkworms and making silk. The cultural hero Huang Di is a direct link of Africa. His name is pronounced in Old Chinese as Yuhai Handi or Hu Nak Kunte. He was supposed to have arrived in China from the west in 2282 BC and settled along the banks of the Low River in Shaanxi. This literal translation of Huang Di to Hu Nak Kunte is interesting because Kunte is a common clan name among the Manding speakers. The Africans or blacks that founded the civilization in China were often called Li Men, meaning black-headed people, by the Zhao dynasty. This term has affinity to the Sumero-Akudan term Sagega, black-headed people. These Li Men are associated with the Chinese cultural hero Yao. We know very little about the sounds of the ancient Chinese because ancient Chinese was very different from Old Chinese and Middle Chinese and the modern Chinese dialects. This results from the fact that the Chinese dynasties were founded by a diverse ethnic group. Jia and Shang Li, i.e. Black Shang, were founded by Dravidian and Manding speakers. Shang Yin was founded by classic Mongoloids, and the Zhao by contemporary Chinese. This explains the difference in pronunciation for ancient Chinese spoken by the Jia and Shang peoples and Old and Middle Chinese, or a variant thereof which is spoken by the Zhao people. The Shang characters compare favorably to the ancient Proto-Saharan script used by the Harappans in the Indus Valley, and the Manding script used in the ancient Sahara and Crete. Clyde Winters outlined the spread of the Proto-Saharan script to Harappa and throughout the Sahara African and Asian by the Dravidians and the Manding. Evidence of Chinese writing first appears around 2000 BC as pottery markings. The shell and bone characters represented writing. They were not pictures, but wedges, similar to African cuneiform. The Shang symbols compare favorably with ancient Manding symbols as well. Although there are different contemporary pronunciations for these symbols, they have the same meaning and shape. This suggests the genetic relationship between these scripts because we know that the present pronunciation of the Chinese symbol probably has little relationship to the ancient pronunciation of Chinese spoken in the Jia and Shang times when these characters were first used. This cognation of scripts supports the proposed Dravidian and Manding migration and settlement of China during the Jia times.
Okay.
The identification of the first here.
Hold on there, my brother. Dravidian and Manding script. Okay. All right. This is what we're talking about. You know, this is what you bring to, to the board information. And before I go into even a bit of what he said, let's just be clear here again. History is before us. I'm an individual. I think I highlighted previous program that the history of Sheikh Anta. And don't get me wrong, no matter who you are in the movements of time, nothing wrong in critiquing someone's work too, even if you think they're a master teacher. But if you can't really prove their work wrong, you got to give them the benefit of the quote unquote doubt. And again, we're studying this on a scientific level, not feelings, please, not religion. Because when I would even say, even as Rastafari, someone's getting religious with this. Man will tell you, oh, Africa for the Africans, India for the Indians. You never hear that. China for the Chinese. I mean, this is the point I'm making. I never said anything against that. In fact, I'm a person, I believe that, that is why international repatriation is key. Every man on his own vine and fig tree, as the Bible says. It almost goes down to even a species of animal, the species among the earth. When you take a polar bear from where the polar bear really belongs and put it in the tropics, unless you have something makeshift for the polar bear is not going to survive properly. That may sound a bit extreme, but you'll be surprised if you take a plant from the tropics in Africa and bring it to the tropics in the Western world. The plant may still grow, but it may not grow with the same force and power and potency that it did where it really came from. It's the same thing with human beings. But what I'm saying is this: if we're going to do this scientifically, we're talking about me having a multi-room house. And I've been in my house, me and my family, for a long time. And then after a while, 3 visitors came. They just came. And they needed some place to stay, and I wouldn't have them sleeping in the yard. And I surely wouldn't kill them. So I told some of my family members, hey, come, stay in this room with me and occupy this part of the house. I'm going to give these 3 rooms to these 3 different people and their families. Y'all can stay in the room. It's your room, You don't even have to pay me rent for the room. And although it's my house, I'm giving you even privacy to your room. I ain't going to come into your room, even though you're there. Even if I may have a key, I would never do that. It's your room. I honestly see as the custodians of this planet. And we're dealing with history, not emotion. That's why I highlighted yesterday what the Professor Shock, when he went and studied the Hermecatl, the Sphinx, he was saying, well, man, this is much older than we thought. This ain't no 4,000 years. This is at least maybe 80,000 years. You comprehend? I'm telling you, Jack told us that the Cro-Magnon man came to the Cro-Magnon man state 20,000 years ago. So obviously, at the height of our civilization, as Masai Garvey says, at the height, the Cro-Magnon man was still in the cave with bats and rats and other insects. That's Marcus Masai Garvey speaking. And he didn't say it to mock no one. He's just trying to show you as a people. When you see you have to lift up and wake up a dead man to give him life and to make him have faith in himself again. Some of the things you have to tell him may be offensive to other people. But he's trying to show you, man, when you were at the heights, this person who you worshiping was living with bats and rats and other insects. You say, what? Yeah. He used to eat his own dead. That's what they were doing. And believe it or not, that alone straighten you up. Like, yeah. So why is it that I think, I don't know. I don't know why you think he's the best. But I'm trying to show you who you are. So it's important for even me to highlight that. We're talking about bones in the millions of years. Millions of years we're here. Millions of years we launching civilization, doing mathematics, language arts, astronomy, and agriculture and architecture. Millions of years. Even when the landmass was one. That's my point. That's why you have evidence of us all over even before anyone else. That's my point. Even after everyone else came, we still came and visited them. That's my point. And civilized them. So this is why the documentary is talking about the Shang Dynasty. These are black dynasties that we began in China. 2205 BC, we done set up the Shang Dynasty. XI, which is the Shai people. The same Shai people in Mexico, the same Shai people in Central America. Shai is the Olmec. So the Shai dynasty, Shire dynasty must be the same Olmec dynasty when 2200 BC. The Shang Dynasty of the 1700 BC also. I'm speaking of the same Shang itself means black. So we're dealing with a black dynastic rule. And when it came to the whole aspect of the Shang, there were two Shangs, and the brother in this documentary will be giving you some more information about that. But historically now, it is well known historically that civilization itself began on the banks of the Yellow River in China. We're talking about at least 4,000 years BCE. That's in the time of Adam and Eve. We're talking about 4,000 years BCE. Because according to contemporary Christianity, the world began 4004 BCE. I can't remember the date, but I think it was 4 minutes after 4 in the afternoon. But anyway, all of that. But the point is, historically, they were people that originally came from Persia. And when I say Persia now, that's obviously the area of Iran. And I'm not speaking of Iranians or Iranians of today, because even the Iranians of today, just as the term Aryan would suggest in how it has been modified, are much more paler than even the regular Arabs. So I ain't talking about these people. These original Persians. Read the book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1, where Esther highlights and clearly shows you that she's dealing with the Ethiopian kingdom that stretched from Ethiopia all the way to India, And when we're speaking of India, that's the border of China, basically Nepal and these regions, but it's basically one people. It is the colonializer that invent a few of these places, the Nepals, and even if they existed before, but it didn't mean they were separated from the mainland, or the main hub. Eritrea was always Eritrea, but it was part of Ethiopia. It's not as if they created Eritrea, but they broke it away from Ethiopia. You understand what I'm saying? So it's the same thing happening here. So the blacks from the area called Persia or Iran today, they were the ones that brought the original realms of civilization to the Chinese. That's my point. Along the Yellow River. They have pyramids in China, eh? Okay. Along the Yellow River, we began to plant millet and soybean and other grains. We planted gang, which is the same ma that the Indians refer to as ma, which is the same cannabis sativa. So all of this is recorded history. We were the ones that started the whole silk material production and literally harvesting silk from the silk caterpillar. It's not a worm, it's a caterpillar. And we raise the caterpillars and produce. So that silk the Silk Road and all of these things, it really began with us. You know, as I said, even the cultivation of soya beans. I know a lot of people, they don't really use soya bean today or any soya product. I mean, it's not something that I definitely use myself, but the point is, soya bean for sure. We understand it's one of the most genetically modified foods today, along with the tomato and the corn and so on. But at the same time, the reality is, some people would say, well, you know, the soya bean ain't real. It was invented by a Roman Catholic priest. I've heard that argument, that some Roman Catholic priests made up soya bean in a lab. You know? Well, I mean, we have history showing you that we were planting soya bean, but 4,000 years BC, you know, before Adam and Eve, you know, we planted soya bean. That's what I'm trying to show. It wasn't genetically modified neither, you know, but this is just history. That is why I'm just showing you. Sometimes we kind of play with history and run around, and some people, I hear people say George Washington Carver invented soya bean. You never hear that? Yeah, man, I'm sure he invented peanut too. No, he didn't invent it. He utilized it to create a specific material, you know, a plastic type material, but that's what he used it to do. You can use things that we eat, you know, good food as such, and can be used to make so many different things, you know, fuel for car and all kind of different things, you know. But I'm just trying to show you the science. I don't want to go too much into what you're supposed to eat and what you're not to eat. Some other program we deal with that. But yeah, just highlighting to you. So even before these first dynastic period, we were already there cultivating the science of the area, teaching them astronomy, teaching them mathematics, as we have always done all over the world. Again, that is why our footprint, fingerprint, that's why our signature is everywhere you go. Our bones, as you just heard the brother say, the oldest bones in China, which has some of the oldest bones, is us, southern China. It's us. You know, the writings that they found, the carvings, the ancient Chinese, because you have ancient Chinese, you have old Chinese, and you have modern day Chinese. As high as the Chinese language is, it's soft to the ancient Chinese. And the ancient Chinese, as you could see, had a link with the Manding script, you know, of the Manding people, and the Sahara script. And then you have the Congo Basin script. All of these are ancient scripts that are seriously overlooked or underlooked, I would like to say, because when you overlook something, you look it over and you see it properly, you know. So we've escaped this. We like to talk about the Phoenician script and even the Medu Neter and the Coptic script, and sound too intelligent, but they have other scripts deep that even the Chinese writing has to give homage to, and that is obviously seen here, and we have the evidence for all of this. So you could see again, you know, so even when we say about we're the original Indians, you gotta be careful how you speak. So are we the original Chinese? We may have been, because we are the original people of the land before it was China or China. Chi is CHI, you know. And as I said, proof can be given for us to show you that we cultivated the civilization there, even before the people that were there came there. Because when we gave them the room in our house, you know, we gave them with the bed well made up. You know, like somebody says, oh, take that room. There's a sheet on the bed, and you have fresh flowers in the room, and all your toiletries are there, and you just have to occupy it and keep the place clean. That's the same way that we dealt with all the quote-unquote races when they came through. However they came through, history, to see how they came through, you have to deal with a certain aspect again of science, anthropology, and archaeology to understand. I said before, I'm an individual that I more prescribe to the mutation, filtration aspect of all people coming out of the original man. So this is why I said now the original man, the black man, and why we'll stress, because now even here, the narrator of this documentary speaks about the science of the birds. In fact, let me just continue this before we seal up so you could get this from him directly, and then we will speak about it. Let's continue this, and then we'll come again.
Of China, Unat Kunte, as a member of the Kunte clan of the Manding speakers of Africa, is supported by the close relationship between the Manding languages and the Chinese. Even though we do not know the ancient pronunciation of many Chinese signs, many Chinese and Manding words share analogy and suggest a Manding substratum for Chinese. I mentioned Black Shang, so I will further explain. There were two Shang empires. The first Shang dynasty was Shang Li, meaning Black Shang. It was ruled by Li Shang, or Black Shang. For the last 273 years of the Shang Empire, the capital was situated at Anyang. The Shang Empire, based at Anyang, was founded by the Yin nationality. We call this empire Shang Yin. Thus, we have Shang Li Empire and the Shang Yin Empire. The Yin were classical Mongoloid people related to the Thai and other small Mongoloid Austronesian-speaking people situated in Southeast Asia. The use of the blackbird as the father of Zhai relates to the blackbird as a popular totem of black ethnic groups in China. This indicates that the founders of Shang were of mixed origin. The bird myth I just mentioned, which is centered on the east coast of China, suggests black origin for Shang, since this area was the heartland of ancient China. Both the ancient Chinese and Africans had similar naming practices. As in Africa, the Shang child had both a day name and a regular name. The Shang child was named according to the days of the sun on which he was born. There were 10 days in each sun. These days are called the 10 celestial signs. In the mulberry tree tradition, one day 10 suns rose from a mulberry, and the archer Yi shot them down. He actually only shot 9 down. The suns in reality were birds. The bird myth refers to the blackbirds that founded the Shang Dynasty. The fact that only one of the 10 birds survived the arrows of the archer of Yi may be related to the unification of the 10 clans of the Shang Dynasty. The reference to blackbirds in the Chinese literature relate to the African origin of the Shang rulers. The use of the term blackbird relates to the fact that these blacks had a bird as their totem. There is a similar account in Native American history where the blackbird rescues the red bird from the white bird, which retreats back into the caves. This analogy is a reference to the Negroid releasing the red Indian from the clutches of the European colonialism.
Now that's obvious. Now let's just get this straight, and we look to wrap up, but I want this to be clear. You know what I'm going to do after tonight's program? We're going to replay the program from previous night. So those who are listening now, when the program is done, you don't go anywhere. In fact, even if you shouldn't go anywhere. This is radio. I know. I don't know. I know. People, we can't just come with a mistake and leave. This is radio. I know. You know what happens here. This is the international flavor, man. Once you're looking for information, inspiration, whatever it is, this is the place to be. You're feeling down, you have a bad day, just come and put on your radio to radio. I know, man, I'll know what to say. I'll know what to play. As far as music, make you sway. Yeah, anyway, still rhyming all the way. Yeah.
Don't go astray.
Yeah, don't go astray. All right, give thanks for that. Yeah. Wow. So, after the program tonight, we'll be broadcasting. Engineer will broadcast the program from previous night. Okay, once that can hold in the schedule, so at least those who are listening tonight who didn't hear last night, they could at least balance it off properly in case they need to kind of put it in. Yeah. All right, fair enough. Wow, we're going through a lot here. Yeah. You notice he was speaking about the Shang Dynasty. And, he was showing you the two different Shang dynasties. And now we have the Shang, Yin, and now we're talking about at least 1700 years BCE. See, pure BCE we're talking about, and we're dealing with black people, black dynastic period in China. The Zhao dynasty as well in China. 4,000 years BC in China. So this is why now he's speaking about the head of the dynasty, Li Shang, and you still have a dynasty called the Shangli dynasty. Now in the Kung Fu Panda, in the third episode of the Kung Fu Panda, you see Po, or the Kung Fu Panda himself, the dragon warrior. You see his father coming to look for him, to find him. Now his father in the movie, his name is Li Shang. And you have a Li Shang here in China, a ruler of the Shang Dynasty. But what is outstanding, as we said previous program again, if you notice, we just keep going back, we spoke of Ho Shang. And who is Ho Shang, or Ho Shen, depending on the pronunciation? He was from the 4th century. So you can see time has elapsed. He was from the 4th century, and he came to the Western world by ships with his whole retinue and entourage. And what was he looking for? Not his son. He was looking for his father. That's history. Now, he wasn't really looking for his daddy. He wasn't looking for his biological father. He was looking for the black Chinese, according to the manuscript that they found. The black Chinese, meaning that he was looking for the Olmec people in the 4th century. Imagine that. Again, this is obviously some time removed from the ancient Shang Dynasty and Shai Dynasty that he may have heard of. So he was still of the Shang Dynasty, but the ancient dynasty of past couple thousand years. So he came looking for the black Chinese. That's very interesting. And some people actually attribute him coming with the Chinese, mixing with the Olmec people that brought out some of the different tribes that you have. The Mushian and the Hopi was said to be of the mixture of these Chinese that came with Wu Shang from the Shang Dynasty. Again, looking for his father, looking for the black Chinese. But I'm using that to show you in Kung Fu Panda. You still have Li Shang coming looking not for his father, but for his son. The dragon warrior, and just the dragon, and remember the movie is set in China, although it's a cartoon. But the dragon warrior. The dragon warrior now shows you, again, the link with the dragon, as I was showing even previously, there's a high link with the Olmec and the people in the East. The Olmec facial features is the facial features of the Buddha. They're the same. The Olmec deal with the Kulkukan, and Kulkukan's temple, the temple of Kulkukan. You literally, on the equinoxes, you see the shadow of the sun hitting the steps, and it gives you the impression of this dragon. The dragon in the East, the Chinese and the Japanese, the year of the dragon, they deal with the dragon highly in their festival. The Olmec and the Mayans, they deal with the flying serpent, which is basically the same thing, in their festivals and in their typology and in their cosmology. It is one. Down to the language, the Shai, Xi, the Shai people, and this ancient dynasty we found, the Shai dynasty, it is one people and two different parts of the world. It will give a lot of credibility, pardon me, to the whole story about the sinking of the continent of Mu. When Mu sank, the people on Mu went to the east and some went to the west. Those who went to the west ended up in the eastern world. Those who went to the east of Mu ended up in the western world. And obviously you could see on both edges of these worlds, you have the same monuments, you have the same people, you have the same type of expression. Again, bringing you back to the point that, yes, the planet was one. We already civilized the whole planet. Yes, we did. But even when the land began to disperse apart and other people came on the planet, however they came, some people say, boy, all kind of stories and all that. Boy, why people come from Mars? Well, I don't know. But the point is, whenever anyone came amongst us, they got their own landmass, their own vine and fig tree. And we gave them the room with the bed well made up. And we still came. The Islamic brothers have this philosophy about Moses going to the white people in the mountains and teaching them how to light fire. When they saw the fire, they run. I've heard Brother Khalid Muhammad speak about this and putting a 2x4 in the back so they could stand up straight. So therein, even if that may be just mythology or esoteric expressions, but it shows the real history as we have taught in the secret writings, how we write stories, even if it's Anansi, but there's still the truth. You know, even if
And he holds all the stories.
yes, so obviously, so there's still a truth aspect in the fact that we are the civilizers. So even though the Chinese, we still return to them, as I just showed you, we return to them and began cultivation, agriculture, etc. Now, the brother was just speaking about the birds, and before we get into birds, let me highlight even down to the martial arts. Bodhidharma. You know who is Bodhidharma? Bodhidharma is said to be the individual that brought Kung Fu
To China.
to China, not Uruguay. You know what I mean? Bodhidharma is the individual that literally brought Shaolin Kung Fu. It is that he meditated for 9 years in the cave and brought out what is known as a specific type of meditation, not Ben, pardon, Zen Buddhism, Zen form of meditation. Now Bodhidharma, when you see the statues of Bodhidharma, he's extremely black. If you look at that Kung Fu documentary with, what's the name of the brother, the actor? I can't remember his name, but yeah, but this actor that went to the Shaolin Temple, and he stayed there for about 14 days, and he went up to the Temple of Bodhidharma. If you watch that, you see Bodhidharma black like coal, yeah? With thick beard and dreadlocks. Bodhidharma was a dreadlocks man in the 5th century that left India. Remember India now, we ain't talking about the India that you may call India today. We're talking about the landmass that was even a part of Africa. Geologists say that India left from southern Africa, you know, and floated all the way and connected itself to modern day Asia. So that's how mystic the so-called India is. That's the same landmass that Esther said goes all the way. Ethiopia and India is one. So the key point here is that when you observe now, this Bodhidharma in the 5th century come in, this black man, you look at the statues, full of locks. You know, the statue, the monks in the Shaolin Temple, well, their head shine. These brothers, they ain't got no beard, but their master has beard, and their master have locks. I've never seen no shining Bodhidharma yet. You know? In fact, this reminds me of the program that we're going to do Thursday. Thursday, we're going to do the program. You know, we're going to be answering the question, why is it that Haile Selassie don't have locks and Rasta has locks? You know, that's almost the flip side of this one. Why is it Bodhidharma have locks and the monks that follow him, they head shine? You know, but anyway, I ain't mocking them. I'm just showing you. But the point I'm making though is that Bodhidharma is a black man, a bearded man, look like Marcus Garvey. He look like the Olmec.
And a black man has locks.
And he have locks. You know, just like really the Buddha always have that
Naughty hair.
the knotty hair. Exactly, perfect. So now this is why even in the temple that he built, the hall of 1,000 warriors, they have 48 depressions in the floor of the temple. You may say what you're talking about, meaning that the floor, which is made from bricks, but within, when you go into the temple and you literally see 14 somewhat like sinkholes, wherein now you actually have, if you were what you call sinkholes, like little cups inside of the temple. So if you were to flood out the temple with water and then push it out with a bass broom or a scrubbing broom and you push the water out, you would remain with 48 bowls of water built into the floor. Meaning that now, these 48 holes or depression have been made over centuries. Centuries of workout and pia, whoa, pia, 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 and stomping and qatar and formation and stamping on the ground over centuries have caused the specific depression to form in the floor. So that means the hundreds of monks that have been there practicing, they were hitting the same spot in their formation when they go through their specific, the orders that they have to do to fulfill as I say, a qatar or a formation, and they hit the spot. Ha! Perfect. Year after year after year, century after century after century. That if you go into the hall of 1,000 warriors today, you see the floor dented in because of the practicing and the kung fu and the martial arts that was taking place there.
That they could pull down brick rocks.
And the thing is, when you look at the wall painting in these places, you literally see the same black Africans that came miles from their origin to teach the people that inhabited the land at the time the ancient form, the ancient kung fu, the ancient karate, the Shaolin, ninjutsu, the samurai order. It is us that came and did that. Bodhidharma wrote 2 manuscripts, pardon me, that are revered amongst the monks today. You have the muscle and tendon changing classic, the muscle and tendon changing classic. And then you have the 8-section brocade. These are 2 manuscripts produced by Bodhidharma, the black African man from India with locks and beard, that taught the Oriental world how to fight Kung Fu. And Zen Buddhism, how to meditate. You understand the science? So what I'm saying now, and let me just say this. Let me say this. Because I have brothers and sisters that, well, more brothers, that like to, send emails, and even some of the comments that we don't read. And I'm not trying to hit nobody's belief. But as I said yesterday, you got to be able to separate the historical Moors from your organization. You got to be able to separate the historical Israelites, or the historical Israelites plus the spiritual Israelites. That's the next thing, but it's still the same people in my book, the same people, from the organization. I'll tell you why. It's no disrespect to the organization, and it doesn't mean I'm not trying to highlight any flaw in your organization, neither. This is what the point I'm trying to make here. What tends to happen is this. Now, I'm not a member of the Moorish Science Temple of anywhere. I'm not a member, I'm not a registered member, I don't have any problem with them, but I'm not a member. I'm a Bobo Shanti. I don't think I can be that and be that. But that doesn't mean I'm not of the original same people you call the Moors that went into Spain, that even set up the Gibraltar. The original Tariq, that's another thing. In the movie for Brother Gates, they have Tariq as if he's a white man. And if you check history, and I'm going to do a subject on that, they have some historians have Tariq black and some have him white. Nah, the Berber. So I am of the original Moor stock. I have no problem with that. I'm not a Hebrew Israelite like I'm a member of any of these different groups or anything. Even though I love Ben Ami to my heart, I'm not even a member of the Hebrew Israelite of the morning. They have specific practice, precepts, rituals, and rites, no disrespect. But I already hold on to the culture that I think is the original culture. But I don't take away the fact that I am an original Hebrew Israelite. I am an Israelite. I don't speak Hebrew, but I know for sure I'm an Israelite. Of the original Moors. So you've got to be able to distinguish between. I see people that say that they're Kemetic, telling a person that Hebrew Israelite, here we tell them. Well, when you came into Egypt, we should have kicked you out. And y'all were disrespectful. Y'all don't understand that we were the one that took care of you. We were take care of you. Y'all the same people. Y'all have different ideology. So all of a sudden the ideology becomes biologic now. A person who comes from the same mother as another brother telling his own brother, boy, when you Hebrews came into Egypt, we were the one that took care of you. Who is we? He's your brother. Whatever he is, that's what you are. I mean, where we gone now? You see it? And the point I'm making is this. Listen to my point. Listen to me. I want you to hear me good. Especially before you comment. The Indians that some of us say we are. Oh, I'm an Indian. I'm the Cherokee. I have Hopi in my blood. I'm Apache. Alright, if you're a black man like me, you ain't no Indian. You may have Apache in your blood. You may be the father of the Apache. That's what's going on. But the Apache says, and the Hopi says, and the Cherokee says, they have a story with 3 birds. A black bird, a white bird, and a red bird. A black bird and a white bird and a red bird. Remember in the Bible, in the Noah's Ark story, Noah sent out a black bird and it didn't come back. And then he sent out a white bird and the white bird brought back an olive leaf. So he knew that the flood was over and the land was now coming up, emerging out of the waters. That's the story. The Noah story is one of the oldest stories in the world, and you have many different versions of it. And in most of the versions, check the Indian versions, it says that the Noah character, some of these stories older than the one in the Bible, the Noah character sent out a blackbird, and the blackbird came back with a mulberry leaf or some other leaf, depending on the culture, to show that yes, the water has subsided. It's in the Bible when he sent out that blackbird, that raven, that it never came back. And he sent out a white bird after it, then it came back. The point I'm making is this. Listen. According to the Indians, that some of us say we are, the blackbird represents the African. No, we're not Africans, brother, we're Moors. Okay, hold on. You're black? No, we're not black. Hold on. Listen. The Indians say this, that the black bird, the color black, not brown bird, the blackbird, you ever see a blackbird? It's black. Some of us, we like to mock each other. Oh, you're dealing with crayons. Well, yeah, I deal with crayons. You draw a bird and you take the black crayon and you color the bird, since we want to get disrespectful. Yeah, I get real. And then they have a red bird. Take the crayon and color that red. And then they have a white bird. They have white crayon too. And ask the Indians that you say, I am an Aboriginal. I'm an Indian. I'm a Cherokee. I don't deal with the word black. I don't deal with African. And all sorts of things. And ask them, who does the black bird represent? Because it's the color black. Who it represents? These represent the same people from Africa. From where? Africa. No, give me a better language. The Moors. All right. So the black bird represents the Moors. The same Olmec people. The black bird. Come on, man. Who the white bird represents? Now listen, I'm not trying to disrespect no one, especially when they're trying to, deal with sovereignty and judicial law, because I comprehend all of that. But I think that there's a level of distraction here when it comes to our unity and dealing with our common problem. That's my point. So that's why I have to go to the midst of what you telling me. Hey, people attack me, even though sometimes I'm not even in the discussion. So I go for the discussion and bring it. I am telling you that even within your concept, the Indian that you say you are, they refer to the black bird as the Moors, the Olmec people, the African, the word you may not want to use. And the red bird is them. You ain't red, you red? The red bird is them. They came from the black bird. And the white bird, the color white, is the Europeans. As I said yesterday, I've seen white people. The color white, it's just 3 of them, but I've seen it.
What if no one sent a white bird and the white bird never come back, and the black bird never come back, and the red bird come back?
That's interesting.
But what if that happened? That's what I'm asking.
I hear you. Well, there's not a red bird in no story, but maybe there is, and you gotta read between the lines. So, my brothers and sisters, I think it's clear. We populated and we civilized the unified planet, even when it started to dissipate and the landmass became what we know as the continents and the oceans today. We were still there, and you can find evidence of that. And when others came on the scene, because we all were not created at the same time, let's live with that. When others came on the scene, we didn't try to kill off this new breed of people. No. We opened our house just like we did in South Africa and gave you a room and had it well prepared. And we even visited you to make sure you were okay and everything in the room was running well. That's when we went and taught you to cook food, and we taught you how to walk upright, and we taught you how to build a few pyramids, and we taught you how to fight kung fu and defend yourself. Every man under his own violent fig tree, but we are the custodian of the complex. We are the custodian of the planet. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. We've touched the hour. I don't want to go over this time. Remember Thursday, we're going to be talking about the question that has been asked, why Haile Selassie I doesn't have locks and Rastafari have locks. So you make sure you tune in for that. As I said, what we're going to do this evening, we're going to represent, not play, no, we don't really play, represent the program from previous night, last night, where we went into the whole aspect of the Olmec, the Moors, and the Africans, and you get a more detail of what we've been skimming over tonight. And this is really part 2 of what you're going to get now, which is part 1. You know, so remember, my brothers and sisters, all of those who are in tune, you know, give thanks for your presence with us. As I said as well, if you are to subscribe tonight, you know, subscribe to the Mystic Vibration. This is the information that we spit out every evening. Every night we spit out this. So even if you're not listening to us, once you subscribe to the Mystic Vibration, you don't have to worry. This program is coming straight to your inbox in your email, and you can take it out and you can put it in the cloud. You can, you know, you could definitely put it in your archives, put it in a library, and save up the information. And even if you contact me tonight and say, Honorable Priest, yes, I want to subscribe, I will send you this program and the program from previous night right away. I'll just send them to you, and we'll begin the process after that, because by right we start to send the program after you subscribe and after you make your subscription payment. And again, that is only $50 a month. Is United States currency a month, and I mean, compared to the information you're getting every night, come on, let's meditate on it, you know. And of course, let us be straight. For those who say they appreciate the work, I haven't said this for a while, but I think I should say, for those who appreciate the work, at least that's what you say, because it's easy to say. But for those who appreciate the work specifically, I would like to see continue and go to higher realms and higher levels, well, I think it is your obligation as well. Once it's in your power, and it is in our powers, we ain't no pretend thing. It is in our powers to subscribe and support this work that is going throughout there, you know, as we bring information and inspiration to each and everyone. So I'm looking for an email from you tonight. I'm looking for a WhatsApp message from you tonight saying, Honorable Priest, I would like to subscribe to the Mystic Vibration. Of course, give thanks. So if you know your Bible and you do not know your history,
the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery.
And it takes some real eyes to realize the real lies that are amongst Holy Manuel eyes.
Yes, I know flower is on the ends, representing the flames. Yo, the one after the Honorable Priest Isaac. Some boy if you know this. Hear me now. Antigua are the place where Priest Isaac dwell. Ancient Israel, ancient story fit tell. Yes, yes, up a lalibela where the monk them a dwell. With them mescal them a broke evil spell. Priest Isaac is an angel. Mystic vibration is an angel. And them nah go rebel. In a Zion where we dwell. When we broke for them spell. Priest Isaac is an angel. Yes, he's my angel. His foundations in the whole mountain. Priest Isaac on the whole mountain. Him black a reverence on the whole mountain. Him chant a psalm on the whole mountain. But never hesitate for yell the king. I take a Izaro Einin. So proud yes to be an offspring. Mystic vibration of the people them a sing. Angel, mystic vibration is an angel. And them nah go rebel. In a Zion where him dwell. When we broke for them spell. Priest Isaac is an angel. Yes, him an angel. Priest Isaac is an angel. Mystic vibration is an angel. And them now go rebel. In a Zion way with world. When we broke for them spell. Priest Isaac is an angel. Yes, him an angel. Trot on the banks of the gully. Isaac trod it through the hills and the valley. Trod it through the town, through the bloody city. Highly, 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 always with we. Highly, 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 I'll protect we. Highly, 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 I would never leave.